Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Baseball Without Borders, a podcast from the World Baseball Network. I'm Leif Skodnick, joined by my colleague Matt Tallerini. After 13 hours in a U-Haul truck yesterday, I'm ready to talk some baseball. And Matt, let's start off. Big series coming up this weekend, especially for Alfredo Harpelu, the owner of the Diablos Rojos de Mexico, as well as a minority owner of the San Diego Padres. The Padres and the Giants are going to play two games in Mexico City in a ballpark bearing his name. And for Mexico's second richest man, this has to give him a tremendous feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big turnout to see where MLB is really plateauing throughout the international landscape. And this is the first of what, can be the mark of Major League Baseball to really expand its horizon on what it's going to cater, to the international fan base circuit. I think, playing a game the first time in Mexico City, in Mexico's capital, is going to be huge. Major League Baseball has played several games in Monterrey and Jalisco, Guadalajara. Prior to what we're going to witness this weekend, with the Padres and the Giants. I think, with the London Series 2 coming up in 2 months, with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs at London Stadium, that's going to be another, pretty much monumental breakthrough that Major League Baseball is now going to, really push the floor with. I think Major League Baseball has been the last, major professional sports league in the United States to cater to the international, fan base deal. And the NFL, the NBA, even the NHL have done it for quite some time now. And I think Major League Baseball now has the chance to really give its product a different leverage now that, the games are going to go quicker with the pitch clock, a lot of different tactics that might draw a good amount of international fans to the sport itself. Yeah, Mexico with Alfredo Harpelu, it's a great stadium to see that 20,000, 21,000 of fans that are going to be packing that stadium for 2 days. I think it's going to be a great, experience either for the residents of Mexico City or fans that are traveling into Mexico to see, the 2 game series itself. So, yeah, I think it's going to be awesome to witness the Padres and the Giants, two NL West teams, still fighting for their chances, in this time frame of the year, this time frame that's early in the MLB 2023 season. So yeah, I think it's going to be a cool atmosphere to see in Mexico City with some of the amenities that Major League Baseball fans are not used to at a Major League game, if that makes sense. And we saw that at the World Baseball Classic, so that was neat to cater into that atmosphere too. And I can imagine how packed it's going to be in Mexico City for those 2 games this upcoming weekend.
I've been doing a lot of reading about the ballpark, the Estadio Alfredo Harpelu, which,
Hmm.
first of all, they're playing at 7,300 feet, so it's about 2,100 feet higher in altitude than Coors Field. The ballpark is 325 down the lines and 400 feet to center field. So there is a very big possibility that this could be a total slugfest,
Yeah.
depending on the condition of the baseball and how well pitches are breaking or not breaking and whether guys are making good contact. The other thing that I thought was really neat, architecturally speaking, if you look at the ballpark from an aerial view of the ballpark, I should say, the roof is designed to look like a devil's trident because, after all, this is the home of the Diablos Rojos de Mexico, the Red
Hmm.
Devils of Mexico City. And
Correct.
then at ground level, the structure of the stadium, excluding the roof, is designed to look like Aztec pyramids. which I just think is so cool because it reflects. It's got this modern roof and it's got this ancient influence architecturally, all in one unit in the ballpark.
Yeah, I think it's neat to even witness that, and then the other amenities to that, Estadio Harpaloo has is that they have a team museum that really retraces, the organization itself of the Diablos de Rojos Mexico franchise. La Liga Mexicana de Baseball is almost 100 years in existence. It started in 1925. The Diablos de Rojos franchise is one of the oldest organizations in Mexico. And, like to have two teams, two major league baseball teams playing in Mexico's capital city. And this is the biggest city in the Western Hemisphere, let alone. So I think the magnitude of what's going to come out of that series is going to be huge for even the Diablos de Rojos franchise. And maybe, we'll probably see a lot of fans during this upcoming, during the course of this year, probably get into the La Liga Mexicana de Baseball circuit, even if, the Diablos Rojos, team isn't playing in that stadium, this upcoming weekend. I think, the American fan can still get into international baseball. Even what we're going to witness next year with the Caribbean series in Miami. But, these two exhibition series, even the next few months at London, I think it's going to take a turn on fans of where, Major League Baseball is going to grow the product. And yeah, like, the Diablos de Rojos organization, they were one of the first Latin American teams to really grow in the radio play-by-play alignment for Caribbean baseball. And I think you know, what they're gonna, as tenants and the two major league teams that are going to be coming into that stadium, I think, before they take the field, before the Padres and the Giants take the field on Saturday, I mean, I think they're going to walk around the grounds and take it all in, honestly, and look at where Mexico is with the sport of baseball. The Metropolis and Stadium they're going to play in the next, Saturday and Sunday. And yeah, I think it's a good cultural experience for some, players that haven't really played outside of the United States, and that are going to witness, 21,000 roaring fans for the next 2 days. So I think it's a great experience for the players, the front office of both teams, front office executives of both teams to really take this all in this upcoming weekend down in Mexico City.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things about the series, and not just the series. So Alfredo Harpelu is the owner of the Diablos Rojos. He owns the team in Oaxaca as well because he has um, some family that grew up there, and I think he may have spent a lot of time there as a child as well. He started a baseball academy in Oaxaca, which is a southern state in Mexico. It's the home state of Vinny Castilla and Geronimo Gil. But even more interesting than that, I mean, this is the guy who made himself into a billionaire, loves baseball, and if he didn't get the the new stadium where this series is being played built, it's unclear what the future for the Diablos Rojos would have been because they had bounced around. They had played in a 25,000 seat stadium until about 1995. Then they played in the Foro Sol, which was kind of a concert venue that they could shoehorn a ballpark into. And then they left there and played in a 5,000 seat minor league ballpark elsewhere in Mexico City for a couple years until this new ballpark opened. And really building this park, he's cemented his legacy as Mexican baseball's greatest patron, I think. Not just because he built this baseball academy that sent like 600 players to professional baseball, both in Mexico, Latin America, and the major leagues, but he cemented the future of Mexico's greatest baseball franchise in its home city. And I don't think that could be understated. And the fact that, he also owns a piece of the Padres obviously helped him getting this series done in Mexico City, where, given the altitude and the size of the ballpark, I think Major League Baseball probably would have been reluctant to play a series without that ownership connection. I think this is just the biggest jewel in his crown as a patron of Mexican baseball.
Yeah, I think it's huge. Within the country itself, the city of Mexico City, to have a major league baseball, 2 game series, and even the amenities they're going to add on throughout the city of Mexico. I could imagine, so much of what Major League Baseball is going to have to do. They're doing a fan fest concept too. They had a little junior Major League Baseball Mexico had a junior cup last week. So they've been prepping for this 2 weeks, and it's cool to see what Major League Baseball as their product that they want to cater to the international fans. I mean, if you add a Radio Row, Fan Fest alignments like they do for the All-Star game, I think that's the pattern that you really have to fill, to for your product, and let the fans really take this all in. I think that's the big key nurture end of where Major League Baseball is going to go about in the international series that they're going to have the next few years. I mean, Paris is going to have a series after the Olympics in 2025. Dominican Republic's going to try to have an exhibition or regular season series, I believe, depending on how the collective bargaining agreement lines up, and decoys until 2026. So Major League Baseball, they have a pattern schedule of what they want to do to keep building the fandemonium purpose of where their product is internationally. And I think it's great. Mexico City, first time that they are having a Major League Baseball set of games there. I think it's gonna pan out, and it's gonna turn out well. In general, for the Padres and the Giants, for both respectable organizations.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that series a little bit more on Thursday. But interestingly, for the Caribbean series, which is going to be played at Lone Depot Park next year in Miami, for the first time since 1991, when the Caribbean series was played at Bobby Maduro Miami Stadium, they have announced, or it has been confirmed by Enrique Rojas of ESPN, Nicaragua and Curacao are going to be the invitees, in addition to Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela, who will all send their Winter League champions. Now, it's going to be the Summer League champion from Nicaragua. But, Matt, tell us a little bit about who's going to be coming from Curacao.
Yeah, so the Curacao team is going to be built with their Winter League alignments this year. They're going to reconstruct a newly minted Winter Professional League. And the Curacao Federation president, Jedrick Magdalena, we spoke on several occasions about what his vision is to grow with baseball in Curacao. And Curacao has 3 course of affiliate leagues right now that are running for the spring and summer circuit. They have a rookie league, a single A league, and a double A league that's going to bridge the talent for their upcoming first Winter League season, since they were part of the Latin American series that discontinued after the 2019 edition. And Curacao is an up and coming country through the World Baseball Softball Confederation alignments. This is not a World Baseball Softball Confederation event. The Caribbean Series, it is all club teams that are represented throughout the Caribbean in their respectable professional leagues. So, this is Curaçao's second appearance in the Caribbean Series. They appeared in the Grand Caracas 2023 edition 2 months ago. And Curacao is going to have a lot of good talent on their team. I mean, they're going to build a similar roster, I feel like, for what they had in the last tournament a few months ago. But yeah, Curacao, they've waited a long time for this, and I think it's big now that their players don't necessarily have to play for the Netherlands every time out of certain international tournaments. They can pick and choose on if they want to represent the Kingdom of the Netherlands or play in with Curacao. But this being a club league circuit event, that all players that are going to be participating in the Caribbean series had to have played in the 2023-2024 season of any other winter league alignment. So the Nicaragua team, I'll carry over to that. That will be filled with players from the Liga Baseball Professional Nacional um, Winter League circuit. And I think Nicaragua, too, they're going to have certain players, that played in the Winter League for their respectable country and also that played in the World Baseball Classic in Miami last month, um, of how they're going to adjust with that roster. I think that's the best way to approach it. Have a similar roster like your national team from last month and play, against the best of the best, rising talent, prospects that are in, all the four representative countries and Curacao too. I think that's the only way to approach what kind of talent you really need to bring to go far in the Caribbean series.
All right, so let's move on to the ALBA games. Two Venezuelan teams playing well. There was a perfecto. Tell us about that event and what's been happening down there.
Yeah, so the Estadio for La Form in La Guaira, that was the venue for the baseball sector of the ALBA games, the ALBA games. And this is the sixth running of the course of the games, too. And so two Venezuela teams have registered to play in this event. Nicaragua and Cuba, they're going to play in the bronze medal game. That's tomorrow. And both Venezuela teams, Venezuela Vinotinto and Venezuela Azul, they're gonna play for gold. So it's guaranteed who's gonna get gold and who's gonna get silver out of which Venezuela selective team um, takes the Alba games for this year. And yeah, so a perfect game happened a few days ago, 2 days ago. Wilkeman Ramirez for the Venezuela um, Azul team threw a perfect game against Nicaragua. And yeah, like the talent that's there that I feel like in this tournament is going to have certain players that are going to be playing in the new second year running of the Liga Mayor Baseball Professional League in Venezuela. And they play all their games at main stadiums in Venezuela. Estadio Universitario, Estadio La Forum La Guaira, and like to scout and abbreviate a lot of these players that are playing in this tournament at the Alba games, I think it's a good radar to really cusp for Venezuela, honestly. And I would think too that a lot of national cross checkers, MLB scouts are looking at these players too down the line. So some of these kids can get a shot. I think that's the approach of what this tournament will bring. This is a World Baseball Softball Confederation alignment for rankings of this tournament. And yeah, I think that like I said before, this is gonna be be a real oversight of where the town is going, even for Nicaragua's sake, because I think Nicaragua has something to prove with their roster that they're going to bring for the Central American and Caribbean games in El Salvador during the late June, early July circuit. So yeah, time frame. So yeah, I think like I said before, with everything that Venezuela is doing, this is a good time to see where the product of young talent is for all countries, even Cuba. But I think Cuba really wants to assess around a lot of these players that are playing right now in Serie Nacional and the Elite League that will start for their second season this upcoming winter circuit. So, yeah, that's pretty much the outlook of what the Alba Games is really happening for the course of both four teams.
All right, so now let's turn our attention to Major League Baseball, where despite the best efforts of bottom line Bob Nutting, the Pittsburgh Pirates sit atop the NL Central at 16-7, winners of their last 7 and 8 of their last 10. And down in Baltimore, the Orioles, a team that, realistically was not going to finish in the top half of the AL East. They're at 15-7. They've won 9 of their last 10 and 7 in a row. Matt, what do you make of these two teams that kind of had been picked to be bottom feeders, really rising to the top early goings?
I think with the Baltimore Orioles, it's good to see guys like Adley Rutschman, Dean Creamer, who's been a key starting pitcher for them, really, click on a lot of chemistry. I think that the Orioles being 15-7, and they have a young team, let alone of what they want to keep building in Baltimore. I think it's huge that um, they are climbing with them being second in the AL East, and you're behind the Tampa Bay Rays that went undefeated the first 13 games to start the 2023 regular season. I think that's a huge, just outlook of where your organization is going to be down the line, even possibly before the Midsummer Classic, let alone. I think you're giving the city of Baltimore a lot of hope. And I think, like you want to have fans come to the ballpark and root for a winning team in the smaller market cities like Kansas City, like Milwaukee, um, even like St. Louis, as such a baseball city St. Louis is. But Baltimore, I feel like with the talent they have from Felix Batista, like I said before, with Dean Creamer, um, Adam Frazier, he's been a key, spark for their roster. Ramon Urias, he's coming off a good angle of what he's been doing too to start the season. Anthony Santander, who we saw in the World Baseball Classic, really perform, in big key moments too. For the Orioles, he's been really raking this year as well. So I think, with him, having one home run, 7 RBIs. Yes, he is batting 213. His OPS at 641. I think that could really rally around, what he can do to help, the Orioles be in a good position in the next few weeks, probably carrying into the All-Star break, honestly, if they can remain playing above 500 baseball towards the middle of the season. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, what they're doing with their organization, I think is big on putting a winning product on the field, and also Drew Maggi getting called up, 33 years old, making his major league debut against the Dodgers yesterday, and playing 13 years of minor league baseball, and to make your major league debut, let alone congrats to Drew Maggi. I think he's going to have a great stint of major league success. And yeah, Pittsburgh's in good hands too. I think it's interesting of what they're doing, with their roster, how Andrew McCutchen's been a big, fill-in spot for their roster. And, players like Rodolfo Castro, Carlos Santana, G1 Bay has been really swinging a good bat lately too. I think it's key that, Pittsburgh gets it going offensively, but the pitching they have now, even with Mitch Keller, Rich Hill still going at it at 43 years old. I think the Pirates could surprise a lot of teams down the line if they can have consistent pitching prior to the All-Star break. Um, don't be shocked if Pittsburgh, can climb the ladder with the Cardinals and the Cubs. I think, if we see them really, really push the floor right after the All-Star break in the next few months. I think that they're the team to really be scared of for the 2023 season.
And yeah, just to touch on Drew Maggi getting called up to the major leagues and making his major league debut against the LA Dodgers. I'm looking at his baseball reference page right now, and he has been in State College, Bradenton, West Virginia, Altoona, Bradenton again, Altoona again, Arkansas, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, the Estrellas Orientales in the Dominican Winter League, Mazatlan in the Mexican Pacific Winter League, Oklahoma City, Columbus, Rochester, Pensacola, St. Paul, Lehigh Valley, Indianapolis, and back to Altoona. And then he's called up to the major leagues. So it's come full circle for him, having started his career in the Pirates organization, ends up back in the Pirates organization last season, and makes it to the major leagues with
Mhm.
the Pirates, and is playing against another organization. He played in the Dodgers organization in 2016 in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and never made it to the majors. So 33 years old, getting it done for all us old guys out there. Good for him. The Yankees have lost a regular season series for the first time this year. They had not lost a regular season series until the weekend, and so womp womp that happened. They're only 13-10, but you'd think you don't lose a regular season series through almost the first month of the year, you'd have a better record than that. But Matt, your thoughts on the Yankees finally dropping a regular season series?
I mean, you're going to need that stretch, 162 games. If you lose a series 2 out of 3 early on, they can't be discouraged. I mean, I think it's the offense that really has to angle in on what they want to do to be successful through the course of the year. And, if Josh Donaldson gets healthy, Harrison Bader, he's on track to come back in the next week and a half. I mean, the Yankees, they can be in the driver's seat, but like I said with Tampa Bay and Baltimore, it's going to be tough um, to really just edge those teams out. I think that the Yankees really have to work on some of their stretch within their middle bullpen. And like, where does Clark Schmidt fit? Because like, I don't personally see him as a starter. I think he is a reliever, but yet again, in Aaron Boone's, traction of how he can manage certain games, he either puts Clark Schmidt in bad situations, even what we saw from last year in the postseason, or Clark Schmidt can't figure it out on a level that he is a major league pitcher. That's my biggest concern on the Yankees bullpen alignment too, and the Yankees pitching staff alignment. I think that's where the biggest questions are going to mark for Brian Cashman, even come the trade deadline. Honestly, in the next few months, I think the Yankees need to go after starting pitcher that's really going to help them, you know, with certain innings. And I think Nestor Cortez has done stellar this year. Garrett Cole continues to hit his stride. But the Yankees really need a signature closer. I think that's the biggest concern of how, depth in where their setup man position is to get to the closer spot. I think that's, the question they have to answer outside of their offensive production of what we're seeing from DJ LeMahieu, Anthony Volpe, and now with Giancarlo Stanton on the injured list, that a lot of these key guys have to step up in order to maintain what they can before the Midsummer Classic.
All right, and then finally today, Masataka Yoshida of the Boston Red Sox off to a slow start this year, but then on the 23rd, 2 days ago, Sunday, hits 2 home runs in the same inning on the anniversary of Fernando Tatis Sr. hitting 2 grand slams in the same inning for the Montreal Expos. Do you think that this is the start of Yoshida rising to meet his potential that the Red Sox certainly hoped they were getting when they signed him for 9 figures over the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, I think he was ready to be a major leaguer even from a few years ago with Oryx. I mean, he did put astronomical end numbers in Japan, let alone, and like what we saw in the World Baseball Classic, there's no way that, he can't fill the Red Sox lineup, day in and day out, series in, series out of what, his left-handed presence gives to that lineup. I mean, playing in Fenway Park for 81 games, pardon, in the season, I mean, the pesky pole can be used to advantage for him from Masataka Yoshida, and let alone playing wall ball at Fenway. I think that's at the Green Monster. That's a big advantage for him. Honestly, he doesn't need to have a bat 300. He needs to have consistent ends of his craft that he can work counts efficiently. His OPS, offense plus slugging, if people don't know, is at 70-89. So let alone if your average is at 265, you have 3 home runs, you recorded 18 hits, you've driven in 15 runs batted in. Your presence at the plate, you know, I think in hindsight means that you can draw walks efficiently. Whether it's working counts or let alone just, sitting back on the baseball and driving it up the middle. I think that what he's doing now is giving a lot of people, a big wake up call of why, the players from Japan are now progressing at the major league level. Even if we can go the Cody Senga route through the pitching mechanics and his ghost fork, Masataka Yoshida, with how his stance, let alone is pretty much it's more signature than that, than what we saw from when Ichiro came to the United States in 2001. I think that he will be an all-star this year. I think that let alone he can help the Red Sox in many ways offensively, produce in many ways. So yeah, I think Masataka Yoshida, 6 runs batted in, 2 home runs 2 days ago against the Milwaukee Brewers at Miller Park. I think that, and striking out 1 time, but I think that he can progress his way throughout the 2023 season. No question about that, to be honest.
All right. Well, we'll be back on Thursday with another edition of Baseball Without Borders as we get set to see the Mexico City series between the Giants and the Padres, as well as the big announcement of the Caribbean series. That's going to be on Saturday night before the game between the Marlins and the Cubs. A lot of interesting stuff happening in baseball this week, and we'll be back to talk about more of it on Thursday. So for Matt Tallerini, I'm Leif Skodnick. Until next time, smoke 'em inside.